Hey, so here's what I've learned recently. When you think anger, I think most of us think the same thing: an uncomfortable expression of aggression that, in the worst cases, can lead to physical or verbal assault. And if that's your first thought, that's valid. But where does anger come from? Why do we get angry? And is anger a good or a bad thing? I did talk about this a little bit in my previous video regarding defensive aggression, but I'm gonna dive into it a little bit deeper in this video and the next one. In short, anger is considered a secondary emotion that acts as a protective defense or a mask for deeper vulnerability. I'm going to go a little bit further into the main vulnerabilities that lead to anger. As I've mentioned in the past, we tend to react certain ways to certain stimuli that makes us feel vulnerable. This is especially true if we're insecure or even unaware of those vulnerabilities. Because just because you have vulnerabilities, that doesn't necessarily make you insecure. The first vulnerability I'm going to talk about is hurt. This is when we feel wounded, violated, or betrayed. It can be caused by being rejected, abandoned, or even criticized. This can lead to irritability or even rage. The next one is shame or guilt. This is when we feel exposed or judged for our flaws or the perception of those flaws. When we don't feel good enough or when we feel inadequate. This can lead to defensiveness or hostility. Next one is fear. This is a response to a perceived threat and a desire to protect oneself physically, mentally, and or emotionally. In many cases, as far as my opinion, I think this is one of the more common forms of anger. The next two can kind of go hand in hand, but they are separate. The next one is frustration. This is when our goals or expectations are not met, often tied to a sense of entitlement and or a lack of control. Think of a situation where you say to yourself, this isn't working. The next one is powerlessness or helplessness. This is failure to influence outcomes. This can come from being ignored, trapped, or even feeling dominated. This can also lead to frustration as well. The feeling of, I can't do anything, or I can't do this, or this is not working. This can lead to force or even explosive anger in an attempt to influence outcomes and regain control or dominance. Anger due to injustice or moral anger, when we perceive a wrong against ourselves or someone else or others, often from unfairness, betrayal, and even fractured trust. The feeling of, this isn't right, this is wrong, this is an injustice. Righteous anger. The next one is jealousy or insecurity, often from a threat to one's status, relationships, or even a threat to one's own identity. Often a feeling of, I'm afraid to lose this, or I'm afraid to lose them. Can lead to controlling and or accusatory behavior. And the last one I'm going to talk about is grief/loss/sadness, either due to a death or a breakup or extreme life changes. Essentially, I'm in pain or pain from losing someone or something very valuable or important. This can lead to self-anger or general anger at the world or life. I lied, this is the last one. Stress or being overwhelmed, typically from an overwhelmed nervous system or exhaustion. You could even include hunger or malnutrition into this as well. Feeling of, I can't handle all this, or this is too much. This can also lead to irritability or snapping behaviors. Now, as you may have noticed, there's a lot of overlap that can happen with these vulnerabilities and these traits. We're very complex, and we can have multiple reasons for the same type of anger and or multiple expressions of anger from the same cause. Like a cheating partner can lead to feeling hurt, betrayed, grief from a sense of loss, frustration, powerlessness, helplessness, feeling like you failed to influence the outcome, and also not having your expectations met, feeling like you did everything right and you're still not good enough. Moral anger, unfair treatment, or feelings of shame, like feeling embarrassed for trusting the wrong person or doing more for someone than they ever did for you and feeling used. Sometimes people can feel stupid for that, and you're not. Insecure, not feeling like you were good enough. I think you get my point. It's important that even the most perceived simple of us are still very complex. We can still hold ourselves and even each other accountable while also understanding that hurt people hurt people. And even though it's not right, it's irrevocably human. None of us are fully exempt from this. We could only understand and try to do better. Like many things, there's levels to this. And some people might need professional help or some sort of support, and there's no shame in that. I've definitely let my anger get the best of me a couple times, and it caused me to hurt people, even people that I deeply, truly cared for. But there are times where getting angry allowed me to act in a situation to protect myself or protect somebody else. In the next video, I'm going to discuss more about the actual expressions of anger, not just the causes of it. We ultimately cannot fix or control anyone, but understanding this is a huge step for developing self-awareness, which I talk about in almost all my videos. Self-awareness, empathy, and seeing a better path for us to deal with ourselves and each other. The goal, ultimately, should be to get to the point where we can express a spectrum of emotions without shame, but have them managed and controlled. This is not a destination, it is a journey and a process. After all, we have these feelings for a reason. They need to be expressed, but they need to be understood. That includes aggression and anger. Let's learn from each other, but ultimately, we have to take the first step. You have to take the first step. I have to take the first step. Remember, stay aware, stay tuned. Love y'all.